Page 187. 8.
8.
The people sought a pretext to rebel against God. To be sure, as we said, the pretext was about the food. We don't have any free food. To be sure, we should not allow ourselves to rebel or even consider rebelling against God. If this requires us to force ourselves to acquire a second divine nature, so be it. So when you want to rebel, stifle it. Mm-hmm. The more profound way of quelling a rebellion, of our own rebellion, is by exposing its true nature. Why are we upset at something? When something God does we don't like. We love God, but we're not accepting, we're saying the way my understanding of God now finds this not okay. That means I don't understand God properly, or I'm not appreciating God properly. So the rebellion is really acting out, articulating our despair. In other words, when a person wants to kvetch or blaspheme or complain, you can look at either being bad, rebelling against God, or you could say, where does this come from? It comes to that I've only integrated to my life a certain level of God, and yet I find this situation not okay. What do you mean? If it's from God, it should be okay. It should be something that at a higher level you can not maybe understand it, but you can accept it.
Sure.
The fact that you can't accept it shows to some degree that your understanding of God, your relationship is at a more surface level. And it precludes accepting this negative thing that you can't accept. So if you think about it, rebellion, anger at God, if you sit with him or you notice, where is it coming from? It's really coming from a shallowness of the relationship. It's really, in a way, it's a positive. I'm not accepting the status quo. Okay, it could come out noxious rebellion, and that's not okay. Or it could be, I have to dig deep to re-understand my relationship and how I perceive events.
But when rebellion in the Torah epitomizes the expression "don't go there." I mean, you can see.
Well, that's exactly the point. This is a very deep idea that the Rebbe said this talk in 1991, towards the end of his life. And he's saying even the Jews complaining, which was bad, it was negative, right? Still, you can look at it in a more positive way, that they're saying, God's just the Torah giver and the candy man. There's something off with life, which means they're complaining about the life God gives them, but that's coming from a discontent of the relationship with God, which can make them have that shallow complaint.
I heard an interview, Rabbi, with the lady who is the greatest professor in the United States in terms of happiness. She teaches the biggest class at Yale and has a big, whatever. And she was saying, when you're feeling unhappy, that can be very positive. That tells you something's wrong. And you should focus on that unhappiness as to what its meaning is in terms of your life.
Good. So here we're talking vis-a-vis when a negative thing happens, there's a sense of injustice from God, right? This is wrong.
But it's really a learning. It's really a learning experience.
But it's a learning, meaning I think the Rebbe is saying that, of course, a learning experience. But you can even learn right now before you learn and become the good guy, and learn. Even when you sit with the discontent that you have or the upset that you have, And you understand that at a very deep level, that upset really stems from that you're not satisfied with your relationship with God. And that's why you're able to act out and be so, like, umbrage or whatever. Meaning, look at even the negative. If someone's an obnoxious, irreverent person, right? It could also be that they're basically on maybe on a deeper level. They don't even know it, a subconscious level. Like, we are not okay with a shallow level of relationship. We need, you could say, they're so ungrateful to Moshe and God. Or you could say is that that some level this complaint is stemming from a dissatisfaction with the relationship with God, which makes them have more shallow desires and whatnot, and less tolerance and acceptance for God's ways. So you can also look at the rebellion as an indicator of something good. Sort of like Gary's saying, that unhappiness is telling you something is wrong inside or whatever, and that you got to fix. Something like that. And then you can, when you lean into it, you can actually develop a deeper, what's real. Like when someone like lashes out to you at work, right? What's really bothering them? Why would they act so unbecoming? Usually there's a lot of backstory of what's going on. So in the Jews' lashing at God, there's a backstory. What's that backstory? A positive. We're not okay in this status quo of our relationship. That gets us antsy and kvetchy. We want a better relationship. It wasn't about the cucumbers. It was about the relationship.